Hello, you caught me, caught me using hand tools again. Dave here, how are you? Today I'm going to show you how to make a bench hook. This little guy has got a piece of timber on the back, hooks over the back of a surface like a counter or a bench top or a dining room table, and it also has a little stop on the other end, so I can push a piece of timber against it. You know, I can put a lot of load against that. Don't have to exert myself, I just lean on it. Okay, so it holds the piece of timber straight. I get my saw, I do the cut. So easy. Stick with me, I'll show you how we go. The reason I'm doing this is because a few people have asked me to do some stuff for people that just want to start out with carpentry. It's all well and good to talk about my whiz-bang workshop here, but some people just want to get started with the basics, and I'm all for that. So what I'm going to do is I'm showing you how to make this guy. Further down the track, I'm going to do some other things for beginners as well. But today, this is my beginner's tool that you really do need. This guy here saves you so much effort. If you haven't got power tools, if you haven't got a garage or a workshop, maybe you're in an apartment and all you've got is the kitchen bench or the dining room table. I'll show you how to get around all of that as well, utilizing this. And a quick, easy toolkit, pop it all in a box, shove it under your bed, it's out of the way. And you can still make things. What I have here are basic tools. A hammer, a pencil, a nail punch, a little block plane, a tape, a square, some clamps, a little Japanese saw, and some glue. The first thing I'm going to do is show you in this beginner's carpentry video is how to make a bench hook. Now let's presume that you don't have a bench. You don't have a workshop, but you've got a counter somewhere, or you've got a table in the dining room. Yes, the dining room table. All you need to do is protect the surface. So I have a towel here, I'm just going to fold it in two. And you can use anything. You can use a blanket, you can use a towel. And I'm just going to put it down on the top. That was pretty easy. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get a piece of scrap. Now this is a bit of scrap melamine. You can use a piece of plywood, you can use anything you want. What we're doing is trying to make a hard surface, and we're going to protect the good surface underneath. Not that that's a good surface, but if you've got a good surface underneath, protect it with a towel, throw a sacrificial hard surface on top, and we're ready to start. I'm going to make this bench hook out of a few pieces of pine. What it's going to look like, and I'll show you a picture of what it's going to look like. So the first thing we have to do is check that it's square. Now it's so much easier to get dressed timber from a hardware store or a timber supplier. Half your battle done already. Get a square and we can check for square on the end, and this one's pretty good, and the other end also is pretty good, and we're going to check it for square across, and that's pretty good. So check it for square across both ways. That's pretty good. Maybe it's because I haven't got my glasses on. Here we go. So I'm happy enough with that. Now that's, as I say, that was a piece of scrap, and that's going to be just about a perfect size. So that one is 320 millimeters long, and it is 140 millimeters wide. Make it bigger or smaller if you want, just depends on what you've got lying around. Now the bench hook, I want it to have a piece of timber coming across the top there. What I want to do is have an area there that when I use my saw, that's going to guide me a little bit and also give me something to cut in and finish the cut through. Now, so I can use a Western style saw like that, or I can use a Japanese style saw like this one. I'll do a quick lesson on saws in between time. Western saws, thick, designed for cutting on the push stroke. So as I'm pushing through, that's the cut stroke. Pulls back and then pushes in again. The teeth are all aimed that direction. Japanese saw, thinner, designed for the pull stroke. So as I'm cutting through a piece of timber, the teeth are all aimed back towards me. So because it's a pull stroke and it hasn't got to support itself as it's going through on a push stroke, it's only on a pull, it can be much thinner. These things are beautiful. I love them. If you've got one of these, use it. If you haven't got a saw, buy a Japanese saw to start off. So we're going to cut a square end on this piece of wood. Actually, that end is pretty square because I've already cut that on my big saw. So now what we're going to do is we're going to cut the other end. First thing we need to do is measure how long it's going to be. So this one here is 140 millimeters. I want it to be slightly less. Let's make it 130 millimeters. So I'll measure that with my tape. Now I'm going to draw a square line across it. Come back a little bit just to allow for the pencil's thickness, and on the other side as well, sight down the side there. We're going to put a face mark like so, and an edge mark there, so I know where I'm at. Now, we're going to clamp it to the timber here. You might be watching this and thinking, wow, this is a lot of work, Dave. We're going to build this bench hook so you don't have to muck around with the clamps to cut a piece of wood. So let's cut this one first. Now the reason I've got a square line across the face and down one edge is so that I can follow it. So let's do the cut. I cut across the top to start, and then I line it up with the side. Now you'll notice I've got my thumbnail just guiding the saw at the beginning. Done. Now it's not the most perfect cut, but it's going to do me. Let's have a look. That's not bad. And that's not bad. And the other direction. So that one is going to go on there, like that. You can see where we're going here. We're going to put a bit of glue under there, a couple of nails back through there, so then I can use that as my guide for cutting further down the track. Now we want another piece of timber under here, and we'll have a look at that. This piece of wood here I found. This is I haven't cut any of this down, it's just timber that I had lying around. So if you can get some scrap, away you go. So I'm going to label this X and X. There we go. So that's where they're going to go. Now this one I'm going to label 0, and I'm going to label this one 0. So they're going to marry to each other there. Let's cut this one just a little bit longer, maybe another 1.5 inches longer or 2 inches longer than the board, and then it'll give the hook a little bit more support. So as I was saying, this one's 140. Let's make this one 200. That's a couple of inches. Again with the square and base and edge. It's a funny little thing, but that's called a face mark, and that's an edge mark. It just shows me that so I know where I am on the piece of timber. There. And we'll put the clamp on again. Now these aren't high quality clamps. It's just a general F clamp. Not a general, it's not the general company, it's a general. These are a little F clamp, and they work fine, they're cheapies. I don't use these ones when I really want to put a lot of pressure on something. I use my good clamps, but these ones get you out of trouble. They cost me a couple of dollars each. Yeah, it's great. Here we go, cut this one. Now this time, because that's where I want to, because this side is the piece of timber that I want, and this is my offcut, I have to cut on this side of the line this time. I'm going to leave the line on there. So again, I put my thumb down and I just rest I can wobble my nail. That's pretty cool. And that's going to be my guide. The saw will push against my thumbnail there. So I'm just to put that there and keep all my fingers out of the way and just have my nail for it to glide on whilst I'm starting the cut. You give a little blow with your mouth. I've got the cut all the way across. Now it's going to be guided by the cut. I just have to come down the side of there, square. Don't go too fast and don't try and work the saw too hard. The saw is going to do the cutting. Just let it go forwards and backwards, keeping straight. Don't try and force the saw. Let the teeth do the cutting. Nearly through. There we go. Have a look at that. These Japanese saws do a beautiful cut. I haven't really checked it yet. That's not bad that way either. I've still got it. I can still use hand tools. People give me a hard time about this because I love my power tools. Don't get me wrong, I live for them. But if I need hand tools, I need hand tools. First thing we'll do is we shall put that on. We're going to glue that and that together. Now O and O is what I want. First thing I'm going to do is I'll put it on there and I will put a mark on it, like so. Get a bit of glue. Now, any glue will do this. I had some Type Bond, so I'm using Type Bond 3. Main thing is with any glue that you don't leave the lid undone too long. This is a little silicone glue brush and I love it. Put some more glue on there. The thing with glue is don't put too much on, because it will squeeze out everywhere. Interesting thing about these guys is you can let that glue dry on there, and because it's silicone it won't stick to it and it peels off like a reptile skin. It's amazing. Okay, 0 to that end. And there we go. Lovely. Now I'm going to get the offcut and I'm going to put a couple of nails in there. The nails are only just going to hold it until it's set. So about there. I could put a clamp on it if I wanted. Now you notice I haven't gone all the way down. I'm going to put a nail at the other end. And a couple more. About there. I could have screwed this together if I wanted to, but I'm trying to do something that everyone can do. Okay. They're my nails and I haven't hit them all the way down, because if I hit them all the way down, I run the risk of leaving big dents in the timber from the hammerhead. That's what this guy's for. This is a nail punch and I'm just going to hold it like so. Punch the nails slightly under the surface. Like that. Right. Now I have some glue oozing out around the place, which I want to make sure I get rid of. And we do that with just a damp rag. Rag that's got some water on it. Rub it off. And on this side as well. Okay, so that's that side. You can see where we're going. That pushes up against. Now I'm going to put a piece of timber on there, which is this guy here. And before I do that, I'm going to get my little block plane and just take an arris off. Now you can either do that with a plane, or you can do it with some sandpaper. Yep. And we can do all the inside there with sandpaper. But how's that? That's pretty cool. Alright, now we're going to put a mark on here where this guy goes. Transfer some lines around. So this is where that's going to be glued. We're going to do it slightly differently this time. I'm going to throw some nails in first. 1, just get them started. 2, 5 will do. These nails are only going to hold it while it's drying. Glue brush. Done. Don't worry about the excess glue. Okay. That way, that way, that way, that way, that way. I think it goes. Yep. Flip her over. And I'm going to lift the other end with a block, the offcut, so that we're going to keep it level. And then looking here, this is the area where that squiggly line is that I know that's going to be underneath. So I'm going to start off with that. I'm going to push down very hard. Whoop, not like that, David. See, with the glue, you're making it very slippery under there, so you just have to be careful and take your time. I'm going to put that middle nail in. That's it in one hit. There. And then I can straighten it all up. There and there. That looks pretty good. Cool. And the nail punch. Done. There we go. Now I'm just going to clean that glue off the back there. There are special scrapers and things that you can use, but honestly, we're just cleaning the glue off. And this is a tool that we're making. I'm not going to, it's not out of mahogany or anything like that. We're not going to make a special finish for it. There we go. That is a bench hook. So the whole purpose of this little guy is to hold timber that I can push against it. I can lean into that and use my saw, my Japanese saw, or my little panel saw to cut with. The hook at the back is holding it, so I don't have to worry about the timber wanting to push away from me or pull back to me. I can exert all my effort away from me, and it's being reinforced by that hook there. So there we go. That's the little bench hook. I'll let that dry, and then I'll run over it with some sandpaper, and hey presto, we've got a great little tool that we can use anywhere. I can make any surface a workbench, and I've got this guy, which is another hand. This is a helping hand. Tip from Dave: if you're starting off or at any stage, make yourself a little bench hook. These are great for cutting. Anyway, see you next time.